There is a truth that very few people dare to face. Most suffering in life does not come from the outside world, but from the silent war happening inside the human mind. People think they suffer because they lack money, lack love, lack opportunities, or lack recognition. But if you look deeper, you will realize that many people who have all of those things still live in anxiety, still feel lonely in the middle of a crowd, still wake up every morning with an emptiness they cannot explain. Modern human beings are trapped in an invisible loop. They chase success because they believe success will bring freedom. They try to become perfect because they think perfection will make them worthy of love. They try to control everything because they fear loss, abandonment, and failure. But the more they try to hold on, the more exhausted they become. The more they search for peace outside themselves, the further they drift away from the true peace within. What is truly frightening is that many people do not even realize they are living like prisoners. They are trapped in the prison of memories, expectations, and repetitive thoughts that replay every single day. One old sentence can haunt them for years. One failure from the past can become chains dragging them down for an entire lifetime. One fear that has never even happened is enough to make them lose the present moment. The Buddha saw this suffering more than 2,000 years ago. He did not only see the pain of sickness, aging, or death. He saw something much deeper. Human beings create suffering for themselves because they do not understand the true nature of the mind. They believe they are living freely, but in reality, they are being controlled by desire, fear, and attachment without even realizing it. There is a very deep secret within Buddhist philosophy that very few people truly understand. True freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want. True freedom is no longer being controlled by the desires and fears inside yourself. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change the outside world, yet they never learn how to observe the world within. They change jobs, change cities, change relationships, but the anxiety follows them everywhere they go, because the place that truly needs healing was never their external circumstances. The place that needs healing is the mind itself. Have you ever noticed that much suffering begins with just one small thought? An unanswered message makes you think you are no longer important. A cold glance makes you believe you are hated. A small failure makes you feel worthless. The mind creates a story, and then the person completely believes in that story. And from that moment on, they lose their freedom. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like a lake. When the surface is disturbed, it cannot reflect the truth. But when the lake becomes still, everything becomes clear. The problem is that modern people almost never allow their minds to become quiet. They are constantly pulled away by the noise of social media, the pressure of life, endless comparisons, and the fear of not being good enough. They no longer know how to sit quietly with themselves. And that is why even after resting a lot, they still feel exhausted. Even after talking to many people, they still feel lonely. Even after achieving many accomplishments, they still feel that something deeply important is missing. Because the human soul is not tired from working too much. It is tired from wearing too many masks for too long. One of the greatest secrets of Buddhism is that liberation does not come from becoming someone else. It comes from letting go of the things that were never truly you. The fears you carry, the roles you keep performing, the expectations that force you to live to please others. Layer by layer, people build a defensive ego, and eventually become imprisoned by that very ego. Many people think enlightenment is something distant and mystical, but sometimes enlightenment begins with very small moments. One day you realize you no longer need to win every argument. One day you understand that not everyone needs to like you. One day you stop trying to control the future and begin living honestly in the present moment. That is when the chains begin to break. A free person is not the one who has the most. A free person is the one who is no longer trapped by the need to have more. A peaceful person is not someone living in perfect circumstances. A peaceful person is someone who no longer allows circumstances to determine their inner state. That is why some people live very simply, yet their eyes feel light and deeply calm, while others possess everything, yet their souls are constantly restless. True freedom has never been about how much money you have, the status you achieve, or the recognition you receive from others. It lies in the ability to live without being controlled by greed, fear, and attachment. But to reach that state, a person must be brave enough to look within themselves. And this is the hardest thing of all, because we are taught how to conquer the world, but no one teaches us how to understand our own minds. We learn how to make money, how to impress others, how to succeed in society, yet we do not know how to sit quietly with our own loneliness without running away from it. The greatest pain of human beings is not losing something outside themselves. It is the feeling of losing themselves in this unbearably noisy world. Perhaps that is why more and more people feel empty even though their lives appear completely fine from the outside. They smile, work, talk, post photos, continue everything as normal. But deep inside, they feel as though they are living like shadows. Buddhism does not tell people to escape from life. It teaches people to awaken within life, not by abandoning the world, but by abandoning the ignorance inside their own minds. The moment you realize that everything is impermanent, you begin to cling less. The moment you understand that emotions are only waves passing through the mind, you stop identifying yourself with suffering. And the moment you learn how to observe everything without reacting immediately, you begin to taste the flavor of inner freedom. That is the kind of freedom no one can take away from you. Not dependent on money, not dependent on love, not dependent on circumstances, not dependent on what others think about you. A very quiet kind of freedom, but powerful enough to completely change the way you live. And perhaps that is the secret that very few people truly talk about. People often think freedom means living exactly the way they want, going wherever they want, buying whatever they want, becoming whoever they want to become. But then one day, even after achieving many of the things they once dreamed about, they still feel that something invisible is suffocating their soul. They still feel anxious before going to sleep, still uneasy when waking up, still afraid of losing what they already have. And deep inside, they understand that they have never truly been free, because the thing that imprisons human beings most powerfully has never been external circumstances. It is the dependency of the mind. A person may live in a large house, yet their soul feels cramped by competition and envy. A person may possess a great deal of money, yet still live in fear of poverty. A person may be loved by thousands, yet still fall into despair because of one single criticism. This shows that the real chains are not in the outside world. They exist in the way people see themselves and life itself. Buddhism calls this the bondage of the mind. The human mind is like a room filled with echoes. A hurtful sentence from many years ago still continues to echo. An old failure still silently defines a person's sense of worth. A fear that has never even happened still keeps people awake every night. And the strange thing is that most of the time, they are not living in the present. They are living in memory or imagination. They suffer because of things that have already passed. Are they worrying about things that have not yet arrived? While real life only exists in this moment, there are people who never truly rest their entire lives, not because they are too busy, but because their minds are never silent. Even while sitting still, their thoughts continue arguing, regretting, comparing, judging, and fearing. They carry the whole world inside their minds, and then wonder why their hearts always feel heavy. The Buddha once taught that suffering is born from attachment. But what many people do not realize is that they are attached to almost everything. Attached to their self-image, attached to the need for others to understand them, attached to feelings of safety, attached to plans they believe life must follow exactly. And when reality does not match their expectations, they begin to suffer. A relationship changes, and they collapse. A disappointing job makes them lose direction. A rejection causes them to doubt their own worth, not because those things are too big, but because the ego inside them is too fragile. There is a very deep paradox in life. The more people try to control everything, the more powerless they feel. Because life itself is impermanent, no one can hold on to youth forever. No one can make everyone love them forever. No one can guarantee that tomorrow will unfold exactly according to plan. But instead of accepting that truth, people fight against impermanence. They want to keep everything forever. They want pleasant emotions to last forever. They want success to never disappear. They want the people they love to never change. And it is this resistance against the nature of life that creates suffering. An awakened person is not someone who never feels sadness. They simply are no longer drowned by sadness. They understand that emotions are like the weather. Some days are sunny, some days are stormy, but the sky itself is always there. When people identify themselves with the emotions, they become slaves to every wave of mood. But when they learn how to observe emotions without immediately reacting, a new door begins to open. That is the door to inner freedom. Freedom does not mean having no problems. Freedom means problems no longer control your soul. One person may lose many things, yet still keep their peace, while another person may collapse because of a small criticism. The difference is not in the circumstances. It is in the stability of their consciousness. Some people move through life like a leaf in a storm. One small disturbance is enough to shake them completely. But others are like mountains. No matter how life changes, they remain calm within. Buddhism does not teach people to escape the world. It teaches people to build a place of peace that the world cannot destroy. That place is not inside a temple, not on a mountaintop, not in the future. It exists within your own awareness. The moment you realize that you do not need to prove your worth to anyone, you begin to become free. The moment you stop chasing validation from others, you begin to feel lighter. The moment you understand that loss is a natural part of life, you begin to fear less. And the moment you learn how to sit quietly with yourself without escaping into noise, you will touch a very deep kind of peace. It is not a temporary feeling of excitement. It is a peace that does not depend on conditions. Many people spend their entire lives searching for light outside themselves, yet never turn inward to see the lamp that has always existed within their own minds. They travel everywhere searching for the meaning of life, yet forget that what they truly need is not more things. Sometimes what they truly need is simply to let go. Let go of the thoughts that exhaust them. Let go of the need to be accepted by everyone. Let go of the fear of not being good enough. Let go of the obsession with becoming somebody, because sometimes true freedom does not come from gaining everything. It comes from finally no longer being chained by anything within. There comes a point in life when people begin to realize that the thing exhausting them is no longer work, responsibilities, or external pressures. What truly wears them down is the constant effort of becoming a version of themselves that the world expects. They smile while falling apart inside. They say I'm fine when their inner world is full of chaos. They try so hard to stay strong that they forget how long they have already been hurting. Little by little, they no longer know who they truly are. That is how the soul becomes lost in silence. Buddhism sees this suffering very clearly, not the suffering of poverty or external failure, but the suffering that comes when people live too far away from themselves. They live through reactions instead of awareness. When others praise them, they feel happy. When others become distant, they feel hurt. When life goes well, they feel worthy, but the moment difficulties appear, they immediately feel meaningless. Their entire inner state is handed over to circumstances, and that is not freedom. That is dependency. A person trapped in emotional dependency will always live in anxiety. They need others to love them in order to feel complete. They need success to prove their worth. They need constant busyness to avoid facing the emptiness inside. But the problem is that nothing in life lasts forever. Emotions change, people change, circumstances change. If happiness is built upon impermanent things, suffering is almost guaranteed. Many people think they are searching for happiness, but in reality, they are simply running away from emptiness. That is why they throw themselves into meaningless conversations, temporary pleasures, and endless goals, one after another. They are afraid to stop for too long because in silence they begin to hear the voice inside themselves, the voice of loneliness, the voice of unhealed wounds, the voice of a soul exhausted from pretending to be strong for too long. There are people who spend their entire lives without ever truly being alone with themselves. They constantly need noise around them to escape their inner emptiness. But the more they run from it, the larger that emptiness becomes. It is like a shadow that follows them no matter how fast they run. That is why Buddhism always emphasizes inner observation, not so people become detached from life, but so they stop being carried away by every movement of the mind. When you begin observing your thoughts, you realize that most suffering does not come from what happened, but from the story the mind creates afterward. Someone does not reply to a message. The mind immediately says you are no longer important. A plan fails, the mind says you are worthless. Someone leaves, the mind whispers that you are unworthy of love. People believe every thought that appears in their minds, then live as though those thoughts are absolute truth. But thoughts are not always truth. They are only clouds passing through the sky of consciousness. The problem is that many people spend their entire lives chasing or fighting those clouds, forgetting to look at the vast sky behind them. An awakened person does not try to control every thought. They simply are no longer controlled by them. That is a very important difference. An ordinary person becomes angry when angry. When sadness appears, they completely drown in it. When anxiety comes, they believe the future must certainly be terrible. But someone who understands the nature of the mind knows this is only an emotion passing through. That moment creates space between awareness and reaction. And within that small space, freedom begins to appear. So much suffering in life happens because people react too quickly. They say hurtful things in moments of anger. They make decisions out of fear. They destroy their own peace simply because they cannot sit quietly with an uncomfortable emotion for a few minutes. An untrained mind is like an uncontrolled fire. It can burn down everything beautiful in life within moments. That is why inner freedom is not something that appears naturally. It requires awareness and patience. It demands the courage to look directly at one's pain instead of continuing to hide from it. It requires enough honesty to admit that sometimes the thing causing the greatest suffering is not other people, but the way we cling to our own expectations. One of the deepest forms of maturity is when a person stops asking, "Why is life treating me like this?" and begins asking, "What inside me is causing this pain to continue?" That question changes everything. It moves a person from the position of a victim into a state of awareness. Because in the end, you cannot control everything that happens in life, but you can learn not to let those things destroy your soul. You can learn how to walk through loss without losing yourself. Learn how to face loneliness without despair. Learn how to live in the middle of chaos, while still protecting a place of peace within. And one day, you will understand the secret that very few people truly notice. Peace does not come when life stops being stormy. Peace comes when the storm inside you no longer controls your soul.